Well, again, everyone, hope you're all doing very, very well out there, and a lot of interesting stuff to kind of talk about on this update. Just like, it's so weird kind of doing an intro for these things. I just want to get right into it. It's not really kind of intro, just like get into it, talk about things, and get on with it. Now, let's say with the last update, we're in a bit of a quandary, this kind of nebulous region of a lot of things not really picking up traction on the channel. Things were just, the views are very much down. The algorithm was not cooperating with the channel at all. It's been a little bit more of a grind getting up to certain things. But we had a couple of things that have broken through and kind of feel like they're making more of a healthy transition for the channel here. One, we put our commentary for From Dusk Till Dawn, which at this point in time, it's gotten 1,800 views. So it's like that just broke through on the algorithm and hit up all the recommendations, people clicking on it, stuff like that. So that fed the channel well. We got the Sinners commentary out. Didn't do nearly that kind of well, but it did better than some of the stuff that we put out a couple months ago. I'm finding that the movie review videos are not clicking in. I talked about the Star Trek one last time, but I decided I was in a certain way when it was a couple weeks ago where I was kind of deciding what the next video was going to be. And it was kind of like, I had that thing about maybe doing the 2008 Incredible Hulk film, which I felt like doesn't feel like quite a winner. Because like, I was kind of like thinking about baking in like, oh, Banner and the Hulk are coming back in the Spider-Man movie and stuff like that. Maybe that kind of piqued some interest here and there, but I felt that really wasn't a strong enough idea. I wasn't feeling that good about it. And so I just transitioned over to doing a video on The Prestige, a Christopher Nolan film that's celebrating 20 years this year. And, I mean, I put this thing out like a week after the Odyssey hit, so I felt like, oh, it's timely, it's Christopher Nolan, it would probably bleed up some interest here and there. No. It didn't go nowhere. I think it's not even at 200 views yet. It's been out for like, I don't know, what, 2 weeks or something like that? It ain't going nowhere. It's really cold. I mean, I really enjoyed doing the video. I thought it was a really good thing. It wasn't a very long video. I got a very succinct type of thing under a half an hour. So it went out very well, but just, it doesn't matter how good the thing is if people aren't going to click on the video. So it's not even a judgment on the quality of the video. That's more like the watch time type of things here or there. It's a matter of people wanting to click on the video to watch it. If they don't watch it, they don't know what the quality of the video is. They're just choosing to brush by it. So, just didn't go anywhere. And there's not like a lot of times you'll try to do like change up the thumbnails or something else like that, or do something to just try to alter the surface level aesthetics of appealing to someone in recommendations and whatnot. But there's not a lot of key art for the entire film really kind of work with. So I just felt like if it's not going to go, it's not going to go. I'm not going to try to belabor the thing like I did with the Star Trek review. I'm not going to do that. So I just moved on, and I decided it was kind of beneficial to a certain degree in terms of like digging deeper into the well of ideas I could possibly do for new videos. And so that kind of stirred up the whole thing of the next video I did was the Halloween Ain't Show television cut. Because the first thing when I started thinking about it, I knew I kind of mentioned it when I did the Halloween 1 and 2 TV versions a couple of years ago. And I said, well, there's a TV cut out for H2O. I haven't seen it yet. I didn't have access to it. But as I mentioned in the video itself, someone uploaded it to archive.org late last year. And so that's the first place I went. Like, if it's anywhere that's accessible, it's going to be up on the Internet Archive. So I decided to hop over there. It was right there, downloaded. Took a couple hours to get it downloaded, but I don't know why. Some things I download over there come very fast, other things not so much, whatever the case is. So, anything like that. It went all very, very well, and it's performing very, very well. It's really just cranking up the views and stuff like that, and there's a lot of likes on the video, a lot of engagement, stuff like that, so it's very much being very, very healthy. So, I already had some things planned for kind of retro video series, but I've kind of elaborate on the list I had for things. I'm going to try to focus on that mainly, with a few other little things here and there to drop in as we go along. But as I'm recording this on Thursday, Friday night, Steve and I are getting back together. We're finally there, the John Carpenter Cheese Fest. We're doing commentaries for Escape from LA and Ghosts of Mars, and stuff to say overall. I have to get through the bonus features on the Screen Factory Escape from LA disc. Just get some background information and stuff like that on the film. Ghost of Mars, I don't know where that's going to go. I got the original DVD release, which doesn't have a whole lot of things to talk about in terms of bonus material. There's a little bit of featurette here or there, but not a whole lot of anything. And so we'll see how that goes. We'll see what the discussion lands. But there's things to talk about on that one as well. But another thing that came up, it was kind of pivoting between the Halloween HBO video and this other one, but I felt like knowing the performance of the Halloween 1 and 2 TV cut video from a couple years ago, that performed very strongly. I feel like H2O TV cut version video was a much stronger idea to go for. I felt like it was a much more confident choice to make sure they would perform well. Well, the other thing I came across was thinking about the fact that I have the Arrow 4K edition of The Warriors, the standard edition, which just has a theatrical cut on it. But I was thinking the fact, well, there's not just that kind of alternate version, director's cut that they kind of marketed as way back in the day, but there's also a TV cut with a bunch of deleted scenes put into that cut of the entire film there. So I started throwing around the entire idea of maybe covering The Warriors again. And well, since I've only got the 4K, which doesn't have a 1080p disc on the whole thing, I can't rip the 4K disc. I don't have the equipment for it. So I had to go back and rebuy both versions on DVD. It's the retro video series. It's fine. Laserdisc, VHS, DVD it's all there. So it doesn't really matter. So I can grab this stuff up. I grabbed unfortunately, I don't know why on the Arrow version they didn't include the deleted scenes, because it's on the Australian imprint Blu-ray release that was put out a little bit ahead of theirs, and they had a bunch of extra like exclusive interviews and stuff like that, but they actually had a featurette regarding the deleted and extended scenes or whatnot from the television cut of the film, which the Arrow version does not have, neither do any of the previous DVDs here. So at one point I thought like hell was on the old Ultimate Director's Cut DVDs thing, but no, it's just stuff that's been floating around online from fans, preserved in that regard. So thankfully those scenes were up on YouTube. And my friend Josh Hadley, he's kind of archived the majority of Joe Bob Briggs, like all his stuff from like Movie Channel, TNT, all that type of stuff. And I knew that he had that stuff, and I actually got 2 different versions of Joe Bob's Last Call, just his wraparounds of him presenting The Warriors. And there's 2 different versions of it from 2 different air dates. And so I grabbed that from him. I'll be using that in the video because that's kind of the first time I remember seeing the film was in that version, and him talking about various other things involved in the film, plus all the extra scenes will include that, so I can wrap all that stuff around and talk about the TV cut, and then the alternate version that they're calling it now that's on the Arrow release. It's called the alternate 2005 version. Before it was marketed as Ultimate Director's Cut, so we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So that's kind of the next thing I'm aiming to do as a full-fledged video in that regard. So we'll see how that kind of drops in the schedule overall. So little things here and there. So I'm making little progress. I've been ripping content off of all this, the X-Files and the Warriors disc and everything for the last couple of days. And so I'm preparing. But some other stuff retro video series, because oh crap, I didn't grab it. I didn't grab it. Give me a second. I grabbed up the Laserdisc of The Last of the Mohicans recently. This is the original theatrical cut and the original Laserdisc release, because there was a later THX Dolby Digital 5.1 AC3 surround mix back in like 97, 98. This is the original one with the Dolby surround mix on it, but the fact of the matter is, I now have all 3 versions of the entire film, theatrical cut, DVD Director's Expanded Edition, and then the Blu-ray Director's Definitive Edition. So like I've mentioned recently, I kind of wanted to at least explore the film. I've never watched it before. I wanted to wait till I got the original theatrical cut and then kind of progress through each version before I delved into the thing whatsoever. So Michael Mann film in that type of regard to kind of cover maybe in a numerous versions of video at some point in time. I know we got the entire thing of the Manhunter Final Cut 4K edition coming out. Right now it's only announced from Studio Canal overseas. You can import it, but you don't like it through like Diabolic DVD, through DiabolicDVD.com. It still costs me like $60 to import the damn thing because they don't have free shipping. And so I'm kind of waiting for a US distributor to kind of drop it where I don't have to pay all the other stuff for the lobby cards, the posters, all the little things. I just want that fucking disc. Don't give me a bunch of physical extras that are just going to sit in a box on a shelf and never be used or looked at or displayed anywhere, because I got enough stuff displayed in this room as it is. I got no room for more stuff. So I'm just waiting for whoever the hell has the rights here to announce something, because Studio Canal has announced the disc, but I haven't announced a date for it. So nebulous in that regard. And they've got some theatrical screens, but like around here in Chicagoland, they're like all over the place, and they're very sparse. Like there was like one up in Wrigleyville maybe like last week or something like that, and then there's like another one at the end of September up here in the around the suburbs, and there's another one like beginning of October at yet another theater. So it's like these single dates are all spread all over the place. You think like you'd have out for like, if you're gonna do like a limited thing, be like the Fathom event type of stuff. Like there'd be like one or two dates, very sparse show times, but at least it'll be like populated in general places. It'll just be on these dates at these couple of theaters, and that'll be it. But now I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what their strategy is in the whole thing. And like I said, since there's no release date on the disc, we don't know when things are going to drop in that regard and plan things out. So I have no idea. Fact is, I did a Manhunter video 9 years ago where I talked about the different versions that are out already at that point in time. If I do a video for this thing, it'll be like more like a general kind of like 4K Blu-ray, kind of like comparing the different masters and stuff like that, and talking a little bit about my thoughts about this different cut of the film, which apparently includes some stuff from some versions, excludes stuff that was in the same version, stuff like that. So between the theatrical cut and the director's cut and various other cuts and whatnot, it's a little bit of a hodgepodge in that regard. So in terms of covering more Michael Mann stuff, that's kind of the idea overall. So I'm not going to go into excruciating detail about Manhunter all over again. I'm not going to do that. So whenever that drops and I can get a copy of it and kind of talk about it here and there, I'll let you guys know about that in that regard. I also recently grabbed up, I was slowly building up the Jurassic Park home video library for the eventual retrospective I'm going to do on the whole thing. I finally snagged up the 3D Blu-ray version. So I grabbed it off on eBay for a nice price. It was like $14, something else like that. Maybe less than, even less than that. Maybe about $12 or so. So only things left I have to grab are like the original 4K edition with the DTS-X mix on the whole thing, and the original CAV Laserdisc with the Dolby Digital, not the Dolby Digital, but the Dolby Stereo Surround mix on the whole thing. So one of the main things is kind of comparing a lot of the different mixes. The DTS mix, the new remix for the Atmos and DTS-X, stuff like that. So that's kind of a main point. Like Jurassic Park was such a home theater, like the surround sound, sort of like kind of the demo disc you put out. If you had that surround sound DTS set up back in the 90s and the Laserdisc and everything, you'd really put that on and have it really cook your speakers and really kind of like flex it out in that regard. So the muscle of what the audio could do in that regard. So it's something really to kind of focus on. Not so much the picture quality in some place, like certainly like on this one, they did a lot of different color grading. There's a lot of like DNR on the whole thing for the post-conversion in that regard, and certainly something to talk about with the 4K editions, but it's really going to be a lot of focus on the audio mixes when I eventually get around to it. But that's probably a lot of months off, even though I could grab the other stuff pretty quickly in that regard. I've been trying to, just a little bit at a time, not to break the bank in one shot, like I did with like the Batman Returns retrospective last year, where I got like the 4K box set, and got this Laserdisc, and I got these DVDs, and all just kind of accumulated to a lot of money, a little bit here and there, but just moving along. So even once I actually got all the stuff, it's going to take a lot of time to rip disc and capture a Laserdisc, kind of compare things back and forth and research things here and there. It's a lot of time, so I'm not going to just jump into the thing once I get everything and shoot it out with it a couple of days. So I had to kind of pace myself in that regard. So once I get it all together and I feel like it's all going to come together at the right point in time, this might be November, I don't know, because I'm planning a lot of things for October. One is, like I said, I mentioned when I picked up the Dracula 2000 Blu-ray from Screen Factory, like, yeah, one way or another, I've been like, one way or another, I got to cover this film. Because this is a perfect Dimension Films kind of slightly schlock film, kind of camp, cheesy, stuff like that. But it's got some interesting things to talk about. I've always been like, this is one of those the crucial, like, kind of slightly bad movies to kind of talk about that's to talk about. I wanted to do it for years, so one way or another to talk about it. So I'm going to delve into that and talk about that around October time, but also retro video series stuff. We're going to delve into something I came up with a little over a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. The numerous versions of George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. Because I've got the Ultimate Edition DVD set with all 3 versions, and I figure like that's a good thing to cover. It's a perfect type of thing, because you got that 4K edition from, I think it was Second Sight. It's overseas. You can import it, at least you could at a point in time. But US, it's a little bit more of a stringent thing with the rights to kind of loosen things up and try to get that type of treatment over here. So, nice thing, again, little retro video series was something that's a little bit more coveted on older formats here in the US. And certainly 3 different versions of the entire film to kind of go through, see what was added, what was subtracted, the different audio mixes in terms of like the different musical scores. Perfect type of thing. So I think I'll have some fun with this. Seems like a nice, exciting idea to delve into and talk about in that regard. So that is on the list for October. And a couple of the little things I'm not going to talk about, name them right now. There's some things that are idea here and there. I just got to kind of look more into things, see either if this thing's worth talking about here, and there's enough to talk about, and some other thing that's like, I don't know if I want to do that one. That's a bit much. So some other things like another numerous versions thing that might be a little too tedious to go through and really kind of like, fuck this fucking idea that I got myself into. So pace myself. There's plenty of stuff to pack in the next couple of months, so I don't even have to talk about things that are like 6 months off in that regard. So what I'm talking about here is a nice solid foundation to kind of look forward to over the next several months to see where things are going in that regard. So that's about all there is in that regard. Again, we're doing the John Carpenter stuff this month. We got some Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming up soon, Black Phone 2, a little more James Bond stuff. We are doing, because this November marks the 10th anniversary for our commentaries with me and Steve. One is kind of obvious. 20th anniversary of Casino Royale. We'll do that one. But the last time me and Steve met up, he was kind of like saying, like, oh, I was doing this kind of Sean Connery marathon, just stuff kind of like off the cusp. Watch this thing, watch that thing. And I came across Highlander. Something he hadn't watched in decades. It's like, okay, you know what? Yeah, this is a good idea. That's what he thought. And he pitched it to me. He's like, you know me, I'm all for it. I'm all for talking about Highlander. I've made enough videos about the franchise and the movies and stuff like that. So we're set. November, we're going to cover Highlander for kind of a belated sort of 40th anniversary, and then Casino Royale for his 20th anniversary. So that's a nice piece of work for me. I'm content with that. I'm happy like hell with that shit. So all good there. But before I wear myself out more, media pickups. Now, one thing is the fact I grabbed up a new soundtrack. Because I don't know, I just started looking for this thing. I came up on it. It was up on streaming. I was up on YouTube Music. And Various Sharebond is putting out these deluxe editions. Apparently, some of them are released on streaming services now instead of just the CDs in that regard. And I grabbed up Mark Isham's score for Blade. And this thing, like hell, I was listening to this again on streaming first. Because I never really paid attention. Like, if you go back to my video I did on Blade back in 2019, I don't think I talked about the music at all in the film. Oh, fuck, I love this. Man, it's moody as shit. It's really it's got a great vibe to it. It's like, oh, I really love listening to this thing. He's got all the brooding, dark type of things on it. It's got great sounds to it. A lot of synthesizer stuff. Just like, it's really just, I love Blade so much. I watched it a couple months ago, my 4K edition. I freaking love this one. It's one of my favorite movies. I'm just coming to the fact, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. Absolutely, positively. I love it every time I see it. It's a comfort movie. It kicks ass. It's one of those badass things possible. It's so cool. And the score from Mark Isham is just fucking killer. Oh, and I got this off of Amazon for like $16 or something like that. It was like on a discount. It's on sale, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm grabbing this thing. Single disc edition, but it's got 46 tracks of music, and it's got liner notes in the whole thing with production stills plenty. All little things here. Blu-ray type of stuff. So you got all this wonderful, wonderful stuff. Just really, really cool. So I mean, Vera Bond does a really good job. So this goes really well with my sudden death one I got, and they also put out one for Time Cop that I've been kind of sampling as well on YouTube Music. I might grab that as well because I kind of let my friend Oliver Harper know about it several months ago when they announced it. It's like he got it and he's very impressed by it, and so they're doing good stuff. So definitely follow them on social media for when they announce new things or sign up for their newsletter in that regard to kind of keep track of what they're putting out in that regard. So they're really cranking out some really solid soundtracks and scores and everything on physical media still. So good stuff in that regard. But in terms of stuff I picked up for 4Ks and so on and so forth, did grab up Obsession on 4K. Now, obviously, saw this in the theater a couple months ago. I've been very, very, very slim on seeing things theatrically this year. There's not been a lot of stuff that's really compelled me to go out and see things, but this was the first thing I saw in the theater this year, and I was very impressed. Steve, not quite as much. Seems like Steve was much stronger on Backrooms, one I did not see, but he had some problem. I think he had a couple of issues with the film, some things that kind of snagged his brain in some ways that were not entirely to his pleasing, but I was impacted by the film. I thought it was very good, obviously, since I grabbed the 4K. Very good in that regard. I did throw in the disc just to kind of watch the one feature they have here. It's about 19 minutes long. Nice type of thing. Regular kind of studio, not entirely fluff piece. Actors and the Curry Barker talking about the craft of making the film and going through and the vibe they had going on and kind of his direction style and the actors going on and crafting the performances. Some nice things overall. Nothing too deep, but there's also a feature commentary from him on the film, so that might be much more substantive thing to delve into if you're very much interested in that regard. But very good thing in that regard. And also I grabbed up, since I did the entire thing of the E.T. special audition from the limited edition collector's DVD, which I don't plan to carry for too much longer because I upgraded the thing to 4K. Because all I need is the theatrical cut, and I figure, like, yeah, this thing won me over so much about the film, I'm just going to grab the 4K off of Groove along with that. So I got a little bit of a discount with the coupon code and made out very nicely in that regard. And I also grabbed up Inception when I'm doing the Prestige video. Like, okay, I'm going to upgrade this thing finally from DVD up to 4K. And I was throwing it in today, and some stuff looked very impressive in terms of like the HDR grading. It really stood out very well. I don't feel like maybe since I never saw it on Blu-ray, I don't really have that compared to directly, but I felt like it was like watching the Prestige. Like, yeah, there's some things like the color grading is much stronger, much more pleasing on the 4K, but the detail doesn't feel like it blows me away. It seemed like Batman Begins was like kind of later with a lot of digital noise reduction. Not the great thing when we were doing the commentary several years ago. Dark Knight Rises looked very nice, especially with all the IMAX photography looking very pin sharp. Some of the stuff, like, again, it looks like a really nice disc. I don't feel like it's blow away type of thing in terms of the detail overall. So mainly the thing with a lot of the Nolan releases in that regard, because I don't know about recently or whatnot, but he's been typically kind of preferring photochemical color timing over the digital color grading on the computer and everything like that. So typically you have to go from the interpositive instead of the original camera negative when you're doing these 4Ks. So you can retain the original photochemical color grading. So you're kind of one step removed. So they probably do either a lot more grain management overall, like the digital noise reduction there, or maybe they just kind of don't pull as much detail out of what they have there. So it's still a generation removed from the highest quality source possible. So you're probably having maybe a little bit of a degradation overall. So it doesn't quite pop out as much. But I feel like maybe some of these could use a little bit of a refresh. That's my thing, and particularly, I don't know. I don't think he's been won over by Dolby Atmos. I don't know so much about Dolby Vision or whatnot. I figure probably some of the newer films have probably gotten Dolby Vision grades overall for like Dolby Cinema releases, stuff like that. But these are all just HDR10 releases in that regard. Prestige and Inception, the Batman films, stuff like that. So no Dolby Vision, so I feel like there's probably some room for improvement overall for a better scan, a bit more of a meticulous hand to go in the whole thing to manage things a little bit more particular in that regard instead of being heavy-handed with a Batman Begins version, which looked a little splotchy here and there when we were doing our commentary a couple years ago on the whole thing. So, just my opinion overall. I was looking at kind of reviews of some of the ones they put out back in 2017. So these are about 9 years old, from near the beginning of the 4K Blu-ray format in that regard. So they weren't more like 4.5. None of them were coming out 5s with a picture quality overall. So some people could say, I mean, certainly there'd be money to make on that regard if you did a brand new version and looked even better than the ones before. So those are definitely selling. The only other 4K I grabbed up lately was the 4K of Tropic Thunder from Kino Lorber. It's been sitting on my wish list for fucking ever now. And like I keep just kind of passing it up. But you know what? The film comes around every so often. The quotes hit in your head. You see GIFs and memes, whatnot, up on social media, everything. It just keeps coming around. Gets referenced all the time. Yeah, so I just decided to just pull the trigger and grab the whole thing. So I haven't watched it yet. Didn't put the disc in, but I grabbed it because you know what? What the hell? But only other thing is, got some comics here, if you're interested in that regard. If you're not, there's always chapter breaks and stuff like that in the video for you guys to jump to whatever it is that you particularly are interested in overall. But I'll start with the kind of easier one to kind of talk about is I finished the second volume of Tom Taylor's run on Nightwing called Dick Grayson. And Lord of mine, just the art style in this whole thing is absolutely beautiful. Let's get to one of these wonderful full-page spreads from the first issue of this entire thing. Just this wonderful action that spills out over the entire thing. There's just gorgeous artwork to have in general. Just like, you know, all this type of stuff that you can jump further along and just like everything just looks so beautiful. All these spreads are very, very easy layouts. Not a lot of things are just get confused or too chaotic. It's very nice, solid layouts overall to kind of cover the entire story overall. So, Eisner Award winner for Best Continuing Series and Best Cover Artist, and that's on both volumes I have here. But Volume 2, I just finished it today because I wanted to wrap it up to talk about it here, and it's good. Tom Taylor just knows Dick Grayson so very well. It's just a perfect encapsulation of what I love about the character. He's bright, he's optimistic, he's vibrant, he has a very positive outlook on various other things. So this is a story where apparently Alfred has passed away at this point in time in the comics, and he left an inheritance to Dick Grayson, which is a very large wealth, and he decides to use that wealth to kind of help Bloodhaven as a sort of a community activist and philanthropist. And so he's being very positive, very outspoken as a public figure, which draws the ire of a lot of bad people in Bloodhaven that are now trying to kill him, trying to take him out of the picture. You're kind of encroaching on our sort of empire of corruption and crime and all those different things. We have a kind of stranglehold on the city. You're trying to change the dynamic of everything, so we're going to send assassins after Dick Grayson, who don't know that he's Nightwing. And so there's a kind of balance. He's kind of has a strike between the secret identity and the public figure and all those different things. And it's got wonderful stuff. It's got Mr. Terrific in it. It's got the Titans in it. John Kent's in it. Barbara Gordon, Batgirl's in it. It's like it's every little thing you want from a Dick Grayson story. It's just absolutely wonderful type of stuff. And this is only like one chapter of an overall arc. So you don't get really conclusion. You get a conclusion of this kind of assassin storyline overall, but there's a bigger story with the character of Blockbuster, the big kind of mob boss in the city, kind of orchestrating all these events around him and stuff like that. So, nice solid piece of work. Having it cap off with Wally West and Dick Grayson there, fighting crime, beating bad guys. Perfect type of stuff. Like, Tom Taylor just knows his character perfectly overall in the art style from Bruno Redondo and Adriano Lucas. This is just beautiful type of stuff. And I finished reading this thing, and I didn't realize I already had Volume 3. I was like, well, I gotta look up Volume 3 and order that thing. I already had it because I bought these things like a year and a half ago on a Black Friday sale, and just as it is. So highly, if you like Dick Grayson, Nightwing, if you like not so much like the dark, brooding Batman and stuff, but you like something a little bit more fresher, energetic, vibrant type of stuff, absolutely, positively perfect choice in that regard. But I've mentioned in recent updates that there was a brand new Jessica Jones alias Red Band series under their explicit content banner. And this started out back when Jessica was having her debut back on Daredevil Born Again Season 2, and it's been running ever since. And they just published the last issue, the 5th issue, last week. And it's a good series. I didn't feel like it was quite excellent. I feel like they could use an extra issue. Not for the overall story, it just feels like the ending felt a little lacking in the overall consequences. Feels like it got wrapped up a little too quickly at the last couple pages there, without enough time for the fallout to kind of breathe and kind of happen, kind of a resolution, kind of a catharsis beyond where it happens and whatnot. But it's a good series. It's really well drawn. It's well written. You got Jessica teaming up with Jessica Jones, who's the wife of Mayor Luke Cage, teaming up with Typhoid Mary, who's the wife of Wilson Fisk. And they're going on this kind of murder mystery plot where Mary's a lot more this kind of impulsive, sort of violent characters where they slice people up at a moment's notice. It just has to be a little bit more the kind of stayed hand overall, while still having your own sort of issues and sort of attitude overall in the entire thing. It takes a much deeper, darker, sort of supernatural angle on the entire story overall, which isn't bad. It feels like here or there or whatnot. It was just the fact that it's good. It wasn't excellent. So I kind of rated it about a 4 out of 5 up on my Comic Geeks app and whatnot. So it was good. I think maybe if you're waiting for the trade paperback, that might be the better option, because like I've mentioned before, these were fairly pricey. They were the $5 a piece. So this cost me about $25 for all 5 issues. Not a bad thing, but definitely the trade paperback will be cheaper overall. And plus, there are a lot of variant covers on the whole thing, so you could actually get the gallery of variant covers in the trade paperback for a much cheaper price overall. But as I was, anyone watches, follows me overall, knows how much of a Jessica Jones fan I am, and so her coming back with Kristen Ritter in the series, then having this new thing, I was just like very excited with the whole thing. Kind of thing where I just had to constantly, like, since I'm grabbing, like, not following any other series right now, so I'm grabbing just 1 issue a month. I kind of had to leave early for work and kind of detour around to get to the comic shop, and on my way to work like once a month to kind of grab the whole thing, which is a bit of an annoyance, because like it's not worth driving all the way out of my way to grab the comic on my day off or something like that. So I kept trying to plan it in that regard to grab it on Wednesdays or whatever the heck it was, stuff like that. So it's a good solid thing. Just it feels like they could have used like an issue 6 to really kind of decompress the ending and resolution and tie everything up and have a little bit more of a sense of overall consequences for the end of the entire story there. So very bloody, very graphic. Definitely the language here and there, but going to a little bit of a stayed hand in terms of like taking that explicit content warning particularly seriously. So that thing in that regard. But the lesser thing was the fact that right before that issue 5 was released, they put a what if Jessica Jones got bitten by the radioactive spider instead of Peter Parker? Interesting enough concept. It was something that kind of retconned that she was kind of a contemporary with Peter in high school and stuff like that. But boy, it didn't work. I mean, again, artwork, good. Solid type of stuff. But the story just lacked inspiration and ambition and stuff like that. I mean, when you're doing What If, whether you watch the series on Disney Plus or you just followed various series over the years, just do something ambitious. You're completely outside of continuity. You can go off the wall and do whatever the heck you want. It just felt like this is the same story would have run if Jessica just had her mainline powers with a regular backstory. I feel like they just changed her powers and her backstory, but still maintained the same characterization, same thing she's doing in the regular comics, and really just didn't do anything. And it also felt extremely rushed. Like they're pouring in a bunch of backstory to kind of fuel where the story's actually going for, and it's like there's just not enough room to explore what they wanted to explore, and then they didn't really do anything really all that radical with the concept to really feel like there's that much there. I mean, there's some sparks of inspiration, but it doesn't have time to breathe and live and stuff like that and kind of explore itself. So, again, it's nice type of things where you have like the modernistic stuff, and you have these kind of flashbacks that feel like more like 1960s style Spider-Man comics with the kind of dialogue and the art style, all that type of stuff. So it's nice little artistic ideas, but it just feel like it's kind of messy and not super inspired. So I definitely don't recommend that one. The Red Band series, definitely worthwhile. I think it's worthwhile to delve into and get those character dynamics and kind of the anguish that Jessica's in this situation where her private investigator license has been pulled by her own husband in that regard to kind of avoid certain conflicts of interest and stuff like that and situations. So it's interesting. And apparently Jessica and Luke are going to appear in a brand new Avengers series this November. I'm not going to go out and grab those issue by issue. I'll see how that entire series goes along and maybe grab the collected edition later on down the line. But interesting stuff in that regard. And what else is there? Some audiobook stuff. Not the best audiobook stuff. I don't know if I mentioned the fact. I think I did. I can't remember. Do this shortly. I tried going through the audiobook of Heat 2 some months ago. And yeah, I think I mentioned this. The fact that the narrator wasn't very good. It didn't grab me. I just like this guy's not got the vibe for it. Not working for me. But the one I was really kind of trying to get through is a Star Trek one called Lost to Eternity from Greg Cox. This is sort of a sequel to Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, my favorite Star Trek film. And it's sets in 3 different time periods. One is kind of our modern day. The other one's like season 3 TOS. The one's kind of like between like Star Trek 5 and 6. And it's a 3-pronged story going through different things like modern day things like this sort of true crime podcast try to go through this entire the mystery of what happened to Jillian Taylor, this woman who just disappeared out of nowhere, who's this cetacean expert in that regard, and she just disappeared. And it's a nice, interesting story in that regard. This kind of podcast journalists and whatnot going through this thing, and we're seeing that from a different angle. That story from a different angle that feels mysterious and outlandish in some places here. It's interesting to see it from that angle, but the story goes off in a direction. Once you get to like the midpoint of the story and you find out what the linking element, what the kind of crux of the story is, it kind of deflated me. Like the antagonist you eventually have in the whole thing is the worst developed character in the story. Like they have plenty of new characters and the whole thing that are very much interesting, compelling. You're very much invested in what they're doing in the entire story, and even I like everything that's going on with all the regular TOS cast members, the crew, whatnot, Kirk and Spock and McCoy, Scotty, everything like that. There's really well characterized, really well done with its antagonist, the entire story, who's kind of the linchpin for everything. I couldn't give a shit about this guy. It just, I'm not gonna spoil anything for you, but just like the fact that what his motivations of plot are, it just held no interest for me because he was not a dimensional character with defined motivations and sort of any kind of relatable quality about him. Why he's doing what he is doing doesn't have any kind of link of sympathy or anything like that. It just really just took it out of me. I got so far into this audiobook, and the freaking narrator is spectacular. Robert Petkoff, magnificent. His Kirk, his Spock, his Scotty and Chekhov with the accents are fucking fantastic. McCoy, everything like that, brilliant. This guy's fantastic in the whole thing. Awesome. As much as I talk about Mark Thompson with the Star Wars audiobooks, this guy's just about on the same level. He's so good. I want to do more audiobooks with this guy's narrating. He's great. But it just fell apart for me. The interest fell apart. I got so far, and I was like a couple of chapters, like a couple of hours away from finishing. I just can't do it anymore. I'm just bored every time this guy's in the story with these long, drawn-out chapters. They're just not interesting at all. So it's just like, man, you had a crux of a good idea there, and you just twist it to a certain degree where you lost me. And that's also a criticism I heard from someone else who went through that novel and everything like that, and just like, that regard. So not great, and wish it could be better. Wish it could be a better story. There's so much potential in the whole thing. There was such a great narrative going forward, and things just set up a really interesting mystery. You don't know where all these parts are going to lead towards and link together and stuff like that. When you find out, it feels kind of mundane and uninteresting and kind of blasé to me. So, that regard. So, all that type of stuff. So, I'm looking for some new audiobooks because I got like 3 credits on Audible to use before my 3-month kind of promotional deal expires. So looking at some other Star Trek books, some Star Wars stuff here and there, and there's some other things mixed in overall that I'm just kind of looking forward to and trying to find time for in that regard. So that's about all there is. They had some other things to talk about, but this is very long. This is a very long update with a lot of stuff in it. I don't want to belabor it too much longer in that regard. So, new commentaries recording tomorrow night, and I'll be working on some other videos in due time once things kind of settle out and figure out where I can work on things in the schedule that I have. But I will be taking some time off at the end of August into the early September, just about 5 days stretch. But it's going to be a good thing because I'm going to be going to a concert. Then there's some time off, and there's some other things going on in that regard. So I want to try and get to something I've been trying to get to for a couple of years, like a certain outing into Chicago I've been wanting to do for freaking ever, and just never quite get the right time. Because like if I get the time off, like the weather sucks. You don't really want to go on there and do this type of thing, and so on and so forth, wherever it is. But there's also some screenings coming out because like next week there's a 35th anniversary Fathom screening for Point Break that I'm going to get to this thing. There's one on Sunday, there's one on Wednesday. I think I'm going to go to the one on Wednesday just so I can have Sunday to kind of tie up some things with all the commentaries and the friggin' videos I want to be doing and so on and so forth. So probably Wednesday I'll go see the whole thing and just have a good time watching Point Break on a big screen for the first time. And like I said, the Manhunter thing, I don't know if I'm going to get to a screener or not before the friggin' disc drops, whenever the heck that's actually going to be. So we'll see what happens in that regard. But good things overall so much. So guys, thanks so much for joining me for this update. Hopefully you're excited for the things that are coming up in the next few months on the channel. And just keep engaging, commenting, liking, super thanks feature, hyping videos, subscribing if you haven't, sharing links around, all the wonderful things that keep the engagement healthy around here and let me know that you guys enjoy what we're doing here. So guys, thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.